G'day everyone, welcome to part 3 of growing sugarcane juice at home. And now we're going to look at the sugarcane which we have growing in our backyard. Now each one of these sugarcanes is special in that it is a either current variety or it is a past variety, and it also has its own particular quirks which make it very unique. So we're going to start off with this first variety. This is a very tall straight variety. This is called SRA11. It was developed by Sugar Research Australia in 2022. And the reason I have it growing is for two things. It's considered a soft core cane, still quite firm of a stalk compared to its other varieties over here, but it's more suited to juicing because it's a soft core. It's less likely to damage the juicer. The other thing is that it has a very distinct flavour. It has a very strong sugarcane flavour, which is ideal for making agricole or juice rum because you need that flavour in the cane. We have quite a few stalks of it growing. There's a lot more hanging off the other side, and they're nice and tall stalks. This variety was very ideal for growing in Bundaberg because one, it doesn't lodge, but also holds a very good sugar content. This variety is still grown today and it can be found around the region. So moving along, you can see there is a second plant growing in the same bed. It's actually the test plant for a garden variety called Akoki. Now Akoki is Hawaiian variegated. This variety was initially found in the Hawaiian Islands, and it's easily identifiable by the apple green stem and dark maroon stripes. So this is on its second return, and it was used last year to make golden syrup, and it has a very mild flavour. It doesn't have a strong cane flavour like the SRA, which made it very nice for syrup. So I've planted a second bed of it over here. So these plants are from the parent plant just there, and as you can see, we've got suckers coming up now. We've got new suckers, and then we've got another set of suckers, and we have the stalks from the original planting. So this will be grown for syrup and jaggery, and after the SRA is cut, these 4 stalks here will get used for jaggery, which is a hard granulated sugar used in a lot of Thai and Indian cooking because it has a very nice flavour. The syrup that I made from the Akoki, I had tested at the laboratory at our local sugar milling company, and they were very surprised to see just how close it came to their store-bought item. For something that came out of a backyard, it had them astounded. Moving along, this is the first of the historical varieties which are growing in the garden. This is Badila. Now, some of you eagle-eyed viewers will notice that it doesn't quite look like Badila that you see it in a lot of tropical gardens. And that's because this is a commercial variant of Badila. Badila was initially brought over from New Guinea in the late 1800s and was the cane used to establish our sugar industry here in Australia. And that Badila will only grow to maybe 2 meters tall at best, and the internodes are very close together. It almost looks like a spinal column or lapped coins on top of each other. So this variety of Badila was regrown and better adapted to commercial growing, and you can see that in just how far apart the internodes are together and just how big the stalks are. There are some spindly ones in there, but this is first return, so it won't be until next year that it will fully start to grow out a lot more. And Badila started our industry, and it also opened up means of creating more sustainable varieties. Most notably in this bed over here. Now this is the second historical variety. It is called Pindar. Now Pindar was developed by the Colonial Sugar Refining Company in far north Queensland, and this is where the issue lay. Up until that point, Badila was the main variety grown, and it can take up to 14 months to become mature, which is fine if you're growing sugarcane down here in the southern parts of Queensland, but up north they have a lot of tropical weather, a lot of cyclones, heavy rains, so on and so forth. So you want a sugarcane that can be grown relatively quickly and still maintain a good sugar content before that wild weather comes along and destroys everything. So they developed this. It grows very quickly. It has a really good canopy on it once it's going. That's what helps establish the sugar in the stalks. But what they also discovered was that Pindar is a great learning tool in sugarcane, because its cell structure within the stalk itself was a great way of showing how water and sugars get conveyed within the stalk. So it became a good scientific piece as well as a good sugar producer. So that's probably a good piece of history right there in terms of studying sugar in Australia and where things can develop. So that is the two historical varieties, and the newest variety is down here in its infant stage. So this variety is called CP5121. Now, any of you growers in the USA will know CP varieties because that stands for Canal Point. Canal Point is in Florida, and over in Florida they have a nice sugar industry just like we do over here. And Canal Point is the location for a lot of their sugar research and growing. So this variety, CP5121, was first developed in Florida, Canal Point, in the 1950s, and it didn't make its way over to Australia until it was approved for growing in 1988. And I believe it was first grown in the Isis district, which is just a stone throw away from me, and then later grown up and down the coast once fully approved. Now, CP5121 has some nice quirks about it. I got some neighbours across the way doing some work on their house. CP5121 has three important facts about it which make it really ideal for growing cane. One, it holds its sugar content for multiple returns. I remember seeing this variety grown on some farms near me at the time when our family was growing cane, and it would hang on to returns nearly 7 or 8 times before it was finally ploughed out. Other Q varieties maybe got 4 to 5 years, but there was CP that was in for nearly 8 returns, which is outstanding for a sugarcane at its time. The other thing is that it is resistant to orange rust. Now, that orange rust is a condition which happens within the stalk of a cane. It's often spotted when we look at the leaf around the leaf scar on a stalk. You can see little specks of red and orange. If you cut the cane stalk open, inside the core of the cane has turned orange and red. CP51 was resistant to it. It was one of the few varieties that will not happen to it. And also, lastly, it is quite resistant to insect attack from nematodes and so on and so forth. So CP was one of those important varieties that it also became a test bed, just like Pindar did. And the CP5121 was later phased out in the industry. It does grow nice big stalks, however, in today's sugar climate, the more cane that you can get per acre, the more money in your pocket. So a lot of these varieties have now been swapped out to ones which offer more tonnage to get more sugar. So that's what we're growing in our garden. Like I said, in the next day or so, we'll be harvesting the SRA 11 and getting it ready to become agricole. And time permitting, we'll harvest these Akoki stalks, and that will become jaggery.